The moment many have waited for has finally come to pass. The evil Usurper has been cast down, and now a new Overlord sits upon the throne of the city of Irsmuncast Nyedge, and wears its heavy crown upon his troubled brow. Now he must convene the Privy Council within the Star Chamber. Guides and guardians who will help him on his rule, or hinder him if they will. However, he is no mere ruler. He is Ninja.
I am Ninja. My parents are the heaven and the earth. My home is my body. My power is loyalty. My magic is training. My life and my death is breathing. My body is control. My eyes are the sun and the moon. My ears are sensitivity. My laws are self-protection. My strength is adaptability. My ambition is taking every opportunity with fullness. My friend is my mind. My enemy is carelessness. My protection is right action. My weapons are everything that exists. My strategy is one foot in front of the other. My trust is in Quan. My way is the way of the tiger.
Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry, and it's time once again for some more Way of the Tiger. It's been a while since I finished book 3, and it's time to begin with book 4. It must have been a couple of months, maybe even 2.5 months, according to the save dates on the character sheets, since I last played this series. And you know what? A few things cropped up, such as the renewed interest in Tainted Grail, the Fall of Avalon, after the sudden patch and release date announcement, and of course the remastered version of Oblivion launching at quite short notice. This has obviously taken up a significant amount of my time, and also there is something else I should be speaking about soon, and I'll probably do a separate video on that in the very near future, which is of course the fact that the wonderful team who put together the Fabled Lands computer game are now working on the Bloodsword series. Now, as we know, I have a playthrough of the original Bloodsword books on my channel, and I will absolutely be embracing the computer version when it is good and ready. And I'll probably do some updates covering some of the news and information regarding that game as it comes to light. Now, regarding character sheets, I have one here from 2008, one here from 2009, and the new ones from 27th of February. So we're now on the 12th of May. So actually, 2.5. No, wait. 1.5, right? Because we go 27th of the 3rd, 27th of the 4th. No, yeah, it's about 2.5 months. Well, now, this one, the backup sheet, is relevant to stuff from... this is our starter book, pick up and continue if we die and have to replay. And this is our current in-play sheet. What I'm going to do is put the old sheets in this folder called old, because they contain some information from my previous playthrough I can look at and compare, or maybe even go, oh yeah, these things might be important or useful. And I will say, most importantly, the blood of Nil is on the old sheet. Now, it's on the old starter book sheet, and the only way it could have got there is if a new dose was acquired, because we used the blood of Nil from book 2. You know, gained it in book 2, used it in book 2, it was gone. So I'm copying the new sheets into here now. And this is our working character sheet. What I will do, however, is go to the old, which I think this was for a restart. No, okay. Because there is some new information to put on the character sheet. Right. Now, I'm just going to leave that blank. Leave all this roughly like that. Correct that obvious typo. Because, to put it quite simply, it saves me typing it all out from here. We have an entire page of information that will... Oh, it does default to begin with. Okay. I can leave it that number there then. Excellent. This is clearly because we have deposed the Usurper and assumed rule of the city of Irsmuncast. And clearly some governance will be required. I imagine court proceedings, not that kind of court, affairs of state, shall be managed. Now, the blood of Nil is back on the character sheet, and when I get to it, there is reason to believe it may have been replenished, but also that it might not. In a move that should be popular with all of you, you may recall that when I played through Book 3, I decided to leave the Jade Lotus at the Temple of Quan and did not fight the werewolf. General consensus was that I should fight the werewolf. I went back and re-recorded that fight without taking damage or becoming infected with lycanthropy. And so I'm going to phase that into the playthrough and say I did that. So you can all be happy to know I will have the Jade Lotus again, which will come into play in the near future, I am certain. Let's recap the background, because it's been a bit of a while and some of you might not have watched the first 3 books on the channel. Maybe this is the book you really wanted to experience. You're like, right, we're waiting for this one. When he gets to book 4, we're absolutely going to watch. Well, I'll tell you what. This is the first book in the series that I have never completed. I attempted it once, and I used the Fighting Fantasy rule, which got me to a fork in a river where taking the left-hand path led to an sudden and unexpected auto-kill. And that's probably why I have a second backup character sheet from the following year, where I may have been contemplating doing it again. I can infer some things about the unplayed portion of this book from information gathered while playing Book 5, which I have completed many, many years ago, about 25 years ago, probably. So, let's see how it goes. On the magical world of Orb, alone in a sea that the people of the Man March call endless, lies the mystical island of tranquil dreams. Many years have passed since the time when, as an infant, you first saw its golden shores and emerald rice meadows. A servant brought you, braving the distant leagues of the ponderous ocean from lands to which you have never returned. Your loyal servant laid you, an orphan, at the steps of the Temple of the Rock, praying that the monks would care for you, for she was frail and dying of a hideous curse. Monks have lived on the island for centuries, dedicated to the worship of their god Quan, he who speaks the holy words of power, supreme master of unarmed combat. They live only to help others resist the evil that infests the world. Seeing that you were alone and needed care, the monks took you in, and you became an acolyte at the Temple of the Rock. Nothing was made of the strange birthmark shaped like a crown which you carry on your thigh, though you remember that the old servant insisted that it was of mystical importance. The most ancient and powerful monk of them all, Naijishi, Grand Master of the Dawn, became your foster father. He gave you guidance and training in the calm goodness of Quan, knowledge of men and their ways, and how to meditate so that your mind floats free of your body and rides the winds in search of truth. From the age of 6, however, most of your time has been spent learning the way of the tiger. Now you are a ninja, a master of the martial arts and a deadly assassin who can kill the most powerful enemies unseen and unsuspected. Like a tiger, you are strong, stealthy, agile, patient in the stalking of prey, and deadly. In the land of plenty in the Man March, the fabled ninja, known as the Men with No Shadow, are held in awe. The mere mention of ninja strikes fear into people's hearts, but you are one of the few who worship Quan and follow the way of the tiger. You use your skill as a bringer of death to rid the world of evildoers. At an early age, you hung by the hands for hours on end from the branches of trees to strengthen your arms. You ran for miles, your light-footed speed enough to keep a 30-foot ribbon trailing above the ground. You trod tight ropes as agile as a monkey. Now you swim like a fish and leap like a tiger. You move like the windspur of the breeze and glide through the blackest night, like a shade. Before he died, Naijishi taught you the ninja's covenant. I will vanish into the night, change my body to wood or stone, sink into the earth and walk through walls and locked doors. I will be killed many times, yet will not die, change my face and become invisible, able to walk among men without being seen. It was after your foster father Naijishi's death that you began to live the words of the covenant. A man came to the island, Yaemon, Grand Master of the Flame. Using borrowed sorcery, he tricked the monks into believing he was a worshipper of Quan from the great continent. He was indeed a monk, but he worshipped Quan's twisted brother Vile, who helps the powerful to subdue the weak, and wicked men to rule fools. Yaemon slew Naijishi. No one could match him in unarmed combat, and he stole the scrolls of Ketsuin from the temple. Once more you knew the pain of loss, for you had loved Naijishi as a father. You swore an oath to Quan that one day you would avenge his death, and you were avenged. Now, after many adventures, you are set to further unravel the skein of your destiny. Wait. It was after your foster father Naijishi's death that you began to... Okay, no. A man came to the island of Yemen implies that he came after. That's not the case. That's a little misleading, that paragraph. Right, because it's in the same paragraph. It is night, but the tumult of celebration in the city continues unabated, for today you have regained your rightful crown. The Usurper of Irsmuncast nigh edge, a foul demon who was turning the city to evil, has been cast down by your own hand, and now you must rule in his place. Weary but exultant, you climb to the topmost turret of the palace to survey the city. Palace Walk, a wide avenue of lime trees, leads past the houses of the well-to-do to a grand crossroads with Cross Street. Here, two buildings dwarf all others save the palace itself. The brooding black pinnacles of the Temple of Nemesis, the supreme principle of evil, lord of the cleansing flame, seem to claw rapaciously at the glowing sky. One of the many difficulties of your rule will be to keep the Templars of Nemesis in check. Equally imposing is the great grey fortress pyramid that is the Temple of Dharma, shield maiden of the gods. The warrior women who serve it were valiant lawkeepers under the rule of your father, Loremaster Zeged. Smaller than these, and opposite the black pinnacles, is the white stone temple to Avatar, supreme principle of good. A great white torch flares across the spire's cross. Flares atop the spire's cross in your honour. In the distance to the south is the area of blackness which denotes the park where lies the temple of your own god Quan, the Redeemer. Nearby are the many-coloured lights of the merchants' quarter. The people in the streets who rose up under the urging of the demagogue, their leader, to throw off the usurper's yoke are still chanting your name as you turn to the west, where all is strangely quiet. The huge temple of time stands darkly against the stillness, and the inscrutable priests of that most powerful of gods show no sign either of welcome or rejection. How much time will be vouchsafed you to rule over Irsmuncast nigh edge, the last bastion of men before the rift? Irsmuncast holds back the black tide which threatens to swamp the lands of men. The east side of the city is named the Edge Side. The city wall here is taller than at any other point because it faces the rift, the bowels of orb, from which nameless evil issues forth to pollute orb. You must play your part in keeping this evil in check. Your exultation fades as weariness overcomes you. In the morning you must be Overlord. For now you must sleep. The Charter of Rulership will help you to play through this adventure as the ruler of the city of Irsmuncast. Use it to keep track of the decisions which you make. Presumably, that would be all this new information we have entered at the bottom of the character sheet. The part of the Charter dealing with taxes and popularity will be explained as you read through the book. If you have not played and successfully completed Book 3, Usurper in the Way of the Tiger series, then you begin this book with the equipment and skills listed. If you have successfully completed Book 3, then you should continue with the same character. Simply transfer all the information on your original character sheet to the one given here. You will have regained 5 shuriken, and your endurance and inner force will have been restored after some rest and the ministering of the court surgeon. Let us restore those now to their rightful value. We have 5 shuriken. There is space for 7 on the character sheet, I note. Did I, interestingly, backup sheet? Huh, okay. You also continue Book 4 with any special items you may have picked up in your journey to the city of Irsmuncast nigh edge, and do not forget to transfer all of your punch, kick, etc. modifiers to your new character sheet. You may also have learned just one of the following 2 superior skills taught by the Grand Master of the Dawn of the Temple of the Rock. We did indeed, we learned the ability of Shinren, not Yuijutsu. Combat is the same. Fate is the same. Skills remain the same. Ninja tools. Now this is where it gets interesting. Technically, the ninja tools are not special items, but hold their own place on the character sheet. This is why there is a strong argument for the restoring of a portion of the blood of Nil. I would like to imagine that I will not have need of it for quite some time. Now, spiderfish. Spiderfish venom we had used. Flash powder. Used asterisk. Did I use it then restore it? No, I cast it into the fire to get past patrols in the dungeon. Neo. It would appear that from the royal supplies we can replenish the spiderfish venom, but hold off on that for a moment. You also carry 1 dose of the most virulent poison known on Orb. This venom is extremely difficult and very dangerous to collect, for it is taken from the barb of a scorpion son of the god Nil, Mouth of the Void. With these skills and weapons at your disposal, you are now a ninja warrior. And right, so, do we have a dose of the blood of Nil? You know what? If you've been watching this series for some time, I'm sure you have an opinion on that, and probably quite a strong one. I'm currently leaning towards it not being present, because it was restored. It was used in Book 1, obligatory, restored in Book 2. There were 2 points in Book 2 where it had to be used, which were mutually exclusive, so it was gone again by Book 3. We didn't have it in Book 3. It's possible that everything has now been restored, including flash powder. You have enough for 1 use only. Now, there's an argument for saying that this selection of equipment is for a new character who has not played the first 3 books of the series, right? However, there's also an argument that it applies to both. It doesn't explicitly say, because the ninja tools are not special items. Feels like I'm playing with semantics there, so I don't want to go too far down that road, but do feel free to let me know your opinions on the matter. I'd say we are now ready to begin. After I've got rid of the mucus in the back of my throat. One moment. The magnificent royal bedroom is not decorated to suit your tastes. Although the bed is decked with sable furs and satin sheets, the walls are hung with paintings of souls in torment. Ordering the beautiful handmaiden who brings you balm to turn these to the wall, you sink gratefully into the furs. The High Grand Master of the Temple of Quan himself will sleep in the antechamber, and his monks will stand guard outside your door. Drifting into slumber, you think back to the crowning ceremony. Keeping your composure had taxed you sorely after the terrible struggle with the Usurper and his minions, summoned from the depths of the abyss. The coming of the mightiest people of the city to do obeisance before you seems little more than a dream, but tomorrow you begin the trials of your reign in earnest. And this brings about a very interesting point, right? Many a time in a role-playing campaign you might think, wow, wouldn't it be great if my character could be king, or an earl, or a duke, or something? You know, have a castle. Wow, yeah, that'd be great. And what you don't think is, at least not initially, unless you're a more experienced player or a bit in older years, but definitely most of us in our youth thinking, oh yeah, a castle, that's great, that's amazing. We don't think a castle comes with a lot of responsibility, because a castle projects power over the surrounding area, right? By virtue of its presence and the fact that it will contain an army who you can send out and do things. And the size of the army and its reach depends on the size of the castle and its position and everything. And it means that people will live near to the castle because they will be safer, and you will be responsible for that safety. It is a position of governance. So let's get on with ruling. The first day of the month of harvest bounty draws fine. Dawn's bloody hell. It's not even that late, it's only 1:10 in the morning. Right. The first day of the month of harvest bounty dawns fine. You awake refreshed, and the dark and graceful palace handmaidens evidently chosen by the usurper for his high lord steward. Bleh. Evidently chosen by the usurper or his high lord steward for their beauty, assist you to bathe and dress. They wait on you hand and foot, but you cannot tell if their murmured admiration for your toned body is genuine or mere sycophantic toadying. You breakfast alone with Parsifal, the High Grand Master of the Temple of Quan, who explains that the customs ordained by your father, the Loremaster, for his successor dictate the order of happenings on this, your first full day as Overlord of Irsmuncast. The Loremaster did not, of course, rule unaided. He depended on 4 advisers who sat with him in the Privy Council of Star Chamber. Parsifal ends, all those who wish to be considered for the posts of Privy Councillors of the Star Chamber must present themselves before you in your throne room this very morning. As you process solemnly towards the throne room, followed by the monks of Quan, those few of the usurper's courtiers who have not fled, and those bloody hell, right. As you process solemnly towards the throne room, followed by the monks of Quan and those few of the usurper's courtiers who have not fled, Parsifal explains the procedure. All those who wish to be considered for the honour of being your personal advisers are waiting in the vestibule. Tradition demands that they be presented to you in the order in which they arrived. They will enter the throne room one by one, your majesty. Shall decide whether they are to take a seat in the chamber or leave the palace in disappointment. Remember, only 4 may become privy councillors. And this is where we get to our first interesting point, because it would appear we need to make a decision on them without knowing. Ah, no, we have our list. Excellent. Parsifal beckons, and a young page boy hands him a scroll from which he begins to read as you look over his shoulder. First supplicant, the Lord High Steward of the Usurper's Court, a follower of Nemesis who administers the city at the whim of the Dark Overlord. Second supplicant, Force Lady Gwyneth, High Priestess of the Temple of Dharma. Third supplicant, Golspiel of the Silver Tongue, a merchant. Fourth supplicant, the Demagogue, a mob orator, popular with the common people. Fifth supplicant, Greystaff, High Priest of the Temple of Avatar. Sixth supplicant, Foxglove, a priestess of Nemesis, the head of the Usurper's secret informers, a master spy. Seventh supplicant, Solstice, High Priest of the Temple of Time. Eighth supplicant, Parsifal, High Grand Master of the Temple of Quan. My humble self, your majesty. He's very young to be... Or... he's quoting. You may order the page to show you the scroll of supplicants again at any time. Just turn back to this reference, but remember to note the paragraph you were reading at the time. Okay, so... I will add that under notes. Where are we under notes? Clues, yeah. Here we have a scroll of supplicants at 41. We may even have something on the old sheets. Wait. Okay, and mid-play. Interesting. I'm not... There is some contentious doubling up there. So, we can get about 4 of the 8. So we have the Lord High Steward, Force Lady Gwyneth, Golspiel, the Demagogue, Grey Staff, so why? Interesting. No, we did choose Grey Staff. Okay. Foxglove. Solstice. And Parsifal. Wait, that... Oh, shit! The young page boy doesn't read it. Parsifal reads it. Right, I'm going to do that all over again. Okay. First supplicant, the Lord High Steward of the Usurper's Court, a follower of Nemesis who administered the city at the whim of the Dark Overlord. Second supplicant, Force Lady Gwyneth, High Priestess of the Temple of Dharma. Third supplicant, Golspiel of the Silver Tongue, a merchant. Fourth supplicant, the Demagogue, a mob orator popular with the common people. Well, orator. Orator is a bit... Orators perform oration, but they are not orators. Right. Fourth supplicant, the Demagogue, a mob orator popular with the common people. Fifth supplicant, Greystaff, High Priest of the Temple of Avatar. Sixth supplicant, Foxglove, a priestess of Nemesis, the head of the Usurper's secret informers, a master spy. Seventh supplicant, Solstice, High Priest of the Temple of Time. Eighth supplicant, Parsifal, High Grand Master of the Temple of Quan. My humble self, your majesty. With that reviewed and corrected, as you enter the throne room, all those present kneel. Parsifal bows and backs out into the vestibule. Though he is High Grand Master, he shows every mark of respect. A hush descends as the first supplicant walks into the room. So we can only have half of these. One, two, three, four, five. Of whom 5 or 6 are decent. Some 2 or 3 are not. The Usurper's Lord High Steward sweeps into the room like a great black hawk. His silver and sable cloak is topped with curving wings of black velvet at the shoulders. His face is pale and drawn, with a long, thin nose and a little grey goatee which emphasizes the length and point of his chin. He bows elaborately and says, "Your Majesty, I have been running this city since the death of your father. In that time we have suffered no attack from beyond the city walls. I know more about the problems of this city, its religions and races than any other. I am practiced in statecraft, and I am the representative of the Temple of Nemesis, without whose support your days as Overlord will be numbered. I give you my word that I will act in your best interest and not seek to supplant you. Our people deserve to be represented on the Privy Council like any other, and so I believe you must appoint me to Star Chamber." He seems about to go on, but checks himself. There is no missing the veiled threat in his manner. About 3 in 10 of the beings in Irsmuncast worship Nemesis, the supreme principle of evil. You must decide between pleasing them and the usefulness of the steward, and the potential danger of adding to his power. Shall we order him into the Star Chamber? I think he would be a significant threat to our rule, and we cannot trust him. He has grown too accustomed to this position of power, and may demand more. I believe we shall turn him away.
"So be it," cries the Lord High Steward. "Do not think that you can stand against the power of Nemesis, Lord of Cleansing Flame. Your reign will be short-lived. Your kingdom shall collapse around your ears, Avenger." With that, he stalks towards the exit. Will you order him thrown into the dungeons for his temerity? No. Fell him from behind with a throwing star? Because that would really help our popularity and make us seem like a secure leader. Or let him go free. Again, 30% of the city worship at his temple. If we throw him into the dungeons, that'll piss off a lot of people. I think we let him go free. What I really like would be to escort him from the city and have the temple elect a new high priest or representative. No notes on... Oh, wow. Okay. The Lord High Steward sweeps regally from the room, and there is a general sigh of relief from the royal servants and other spectators. The doors of the vestibule open once more, and the door wardens bow as a tall, graceful woman clad in chainmail strides purposely into the throne room.
Her short, spiky iron-grey hair and the calluses on her hands, caused by regular swordplay, enhance her powerful presence. It is Force Lady Gwyneth, High Priestess of the Temple of Dharma, Shield Maiden of the Gods. If you have played Book 3, Usurper, and were given a statuette of the goddess Dharma as a token of her support when the Usurper was overthrown, turn to section 211. We absolutely have a small statuette of Dharma. We would not have the throne without it. Did not receive the statue and relied instead on the transport. No, okay. I kind of relied on both, actually. So, if we have not played Book 3, it is presumed we gained her aid. And 221 is essentially doing it without her, which means we would have needed these samurai bodyguards to help instead. So, 211 it is. It was Force Lady Gwyneth and her shield maidens who began the successful revolution against the Usurper in return for your promise to restore the laws and customs of your father, the Loremaster. These included appointing the shield maidens of Dharma to patrol the city and keep the watch. Gwyneth bends on one knee before the throne, then plants her feet firmly apart and says in her low, firm voice, "My thanks for delivering our city from the tyrant, your majesty. I know that you, a worshipper of Quan the Redeemer, appreciate that without the just rule of law this city will lose its sinews and its strength, until at last it will be overwhelmed by the evils of the Rift or our foes in the Western Man-March. As a symbol of law and a just leader, I would be a loyal advisor in the Star Chamber. May I remind you that General Barkant was killed in the fighting yesterday. The army is without a leader. I have already ordered the Usurper's troops to be confined to barracks, and my own troops are even now on the streets controlling the looting. She looks you calmly in the eye, awaiting your decision. I will make a note. Shield maidens patrol the city. Right, yes. Not the army. And I intend to keep my word. We will invite her to step into the Star Chamber. Force Lady Gwyneth bows low and marches through the open door into the Star Chamber. Note that she is one of your privy councillors, and then await your next supplicant. I'm just going to keep removing them from the list. And now for the traitor. The doors swing open once more, and a huge, bulky figure waddles slowly into the throne room. It is Golspiel of the Silver Tongue, a merchant who owns a huge purple-draped emporium on Low End Road near the Green. His eyes are like small shining currents in a face that shudders in time with his footfalls. His fat jowls hang down like dewlaps, and his hands are like bunches of pork sausages. He bows low, breathing heavily with the effort, and says, "Your illustrious majesty, you have come like the Redeemer himself to deliver us from evil. If you've read Book 3, Usurper, and Golspier's mercenaries, including Antocidas the One-Eyed, came to your support, or if he gave you either a piece of red coral or an amber pendant, turn to section 301. He gave us the Jade Lotus of Betrayal. I see no amber pendant or red coral here. So we did not make promises to him that we would have great difficulty in keeping. If the options above don't apply, note that he gave you a Jade Lotus Blossom. Okay, so it's an automatic. One or the other. So we didn't give our word to him. He did betray us, even though Shinren made him decide not to betray us, he still went ahead and did it anyway, which is odd. When you crept stealthily into the dungeons below the palace to surprise the Usurper, you were attacked by a werewolf. As Golspiel stands before the throne, you remember the man-beast told you that the fat merchant had sent him to slay you. You triumphed over the unnatural lycanthrope, but as far as you know, you may, thanks to Golspiel, have caught its disease. We know that we did not. You may find yourself turned into a werewolf yourself, howling at the next full moon. Will you order the monks to clap the merchant in irons in that same dungeon? Force him to stand trial for high treason tomorrow? Or wait to hear what he has to say? I think we force him to stand trial. Now, here's the tricky thing, right? Technically, it was not high treason at the time of his betrayal, because we were not Overlord of the city. However, by rights we were, so it still applies. I believe... I'm going to try and copy my old progress here. I believe I put him on trial. Yeah. Hopefully this will not be too unpopular a decision. You order Golspiel of the Silver Tongue to attend the halls of justice on Shieldbearer's Row at noontide tomorrow, there to answer the charge of high treason against the person of Avenger the First, Overlord of Irsmuncast Night Edge. The merchant says nothing, at a loss for words for the first time in his life. He waddles out, puffing and blowing, and there is a low ripple of applause around from the courtiers. Golspiel is evidently not a popular man. Note that the merchant will stand trial at noon tomorrow and turn to... Okay. So we do put that in our notes here. When I can find them again. And we shall remove him from the list of potential counsellors. He is certainly unfit to enter into the Star Chamber. Perhaps if another Overlord whom he had not betrayed was sitting upon the throne, it would be another matter. However, at this point we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 remaining, of whom we can only accept 3. However, that's better than having 7 remaining, of whom we could only accept 3. The doors are flung wide again, and a strange gawky figure in a tattered yellow robe which flaps loosely around his skinny knees stalks in. It is the demagogue, the mob orator who has captured the imagination of the common people. The dark eyes, separated from by the most monumental nose you have ever seen, sparkle with a strange fire. He stops before the throne and launches into a harangue before remembering himself. Then he throws himself energetically to your knees. Great Overlord, Avenger, I greet you as the beneficent ruler who will restore the birthright of the people. The look in his eye is close to adoration as he springs to his feet and begins to speak excitedly. This fair city may become one of the most priceless jewels known to men. With the people behind you, all things become possible. New buildings, new worth, health and wealth for all. A city famed among the far-flung races of Orb. With the support of the people, your reign will pass into the annals of the sages of history as the Age of Enlightenment. I hold the key to this support. Avenger, your most humble servant and representative for people who are the lifeblood of Irsmuncast. He pauses for breath, and you decide to pass judgment before he begins another flow of fine oratory. He did rouse the mob to aid us in our fight against the Overlord's army. And he is popular. I feel he should be rewarded. He can also be relied upon to provide the voice of the common people, their interests, their opinions, their points of view. And that'll be useful for a ruler. You know, why go and make some extremely out of touch decision like cutting off the winter fuel allowance for aging pensioners, or messing with disability benefits, or any number of other ill-advised political moves, when a little bit of contact with the common man might tell you some of these things could be a really, really bad idea. A look of quite childish delight spreads across his unusual face, making him look vulnerable and younger than you had imagined him to be. "I humbly thank your overlordship," he says. "This is indeed the highest honour." He backs away from the throne, bowing 3 times very low, and knocking into the door warden who is opening the door to the Star Chamber. Note that the demagogue is now a privy councillor. If you have already appointed 4 councillors, then you would have accepted every single person who has walked into the room so far. That is not the case. Let us wait for the next supplicant. The doors are swept open again. When the doors are swept open again, a man with a white skull cap and voluminous white robes walks into the throne room. It is Greystaff, High Priest of the Temple of Avatar. He has a kindly, though solemn face, and is thin and a little pallid for want of the sun. There is an aura of saintliness about him as well, which arrests your attention. We do have the art of Shinren, and should therefore continue immediately to section 43. Of all the people you are so far considered for the role of Privy Councillor, Greystaff is the most artless. He radiates goodness and is possessed of great strength of will. He is far from confident that you will choose him, however. Perhaps he is not the head of one of the more powerful temples. Indeed, Avatar's temple is small, but has a dedicated following. But we can trust that he will be loyal and honest and decent if we accept him. Greystaff bows low and says, "Avatar be praised for granting us deliverance at your hands, Great Majesty. The taint of evil has poisoned the sewers of this troubled city for too long. I would like to help you expunge the taint that the rule of the Dark Usurper has left in all our hearts, to show people how to walk with uplifted hearts and heads. As you know, we who worship Avatar prize goodness above all things, and the great sage Veretegal once wrote that every overlord should have at least one soul of goodly persuasion as his adviser. I humbly profess that in all my thoughts and deeds I strive to be this. I await your decision, Great Majesty." I see very little reason to turn Greystaff away. Unless I am reserving a position for Parsifal, although Parsifal seems to be our fallback in case we don't accept any of the others. Greystaff bows and thanks you, then walks humbly into the Star Chamber. Note that he is now one of your Privy Councillors. We have not yet appointed 4, so let us continue. And here comes trouble. The sixth supplicant is a striking and impressive figure. It is Foxglove, head of the Usurper's secret informers, the Order of the Yellow Lotus, and a priestess of Nemesis. She is unusually beautiful and wears the rouge and eye paints of a courtesan, while her look betokens a swift intelligence. She curtsies before you, her wasp-waisted peacock-tail-coloured dress, a shimmering rainbow of greens and blues. "Only the Lord High Steward knows as much as I of this city and its people," she says. "The steward is a symbol of the Usurper's tyranny. Oh yes, he tyrannized us too, Avenger. I counsel you to watch him carefully, but I can represent the many who revere Nemesis, winning them to your support. For though you have ended the time of your rule, life must go on for us too. A wise ruler will always have secret informers, and I command a skilful secret society without whom you will never know a moment's security in this strife-torn city." Her look as she finishes is one of challenge, as if she were almost daring you to accept her. Now, I do know that Lady Foxglove features in Book 6 in some way, and that her involvement can get you in a lot of trouble, or not, as the case may be. And I'm thinking this is a case of keep your friends close but keep your enemies closer. This would mean denying the priest of the Temple of Time or the Temple of Quan. Now, the priests of the Temple of Time haven't shown their hand and greatly aided us yet. But she does have a spy network, and accepting one of the worshippers of Nemesis onto the Privy Council would help keep the many worshippers of Nemesis in the city on side, and show that we are being fair and just. This is what I did last time, isn't it? I've got a really horrible feeling that I may come to regret this, but it might also help. I think there may be instances in later books where having her around may prevent some sabotage and subterfuge. So I will write these in now. In full. I hope I don't regret turning down the priest of the Temple of Time. Or... okay. Foxglove curtsies most elegantly once again and sweeps into the Star Chamber. There is a discontented murmuring all around you, for you have chosen the leader of that most despised section of Irsmuncast society, the infamous Order of the Yellow Lotus. Subtract 1 from your popularity rating. Note that Foxglove is one of your privy councillors, and you have now literally halved your popularity. Hopefully, we can increase it again. The council has been chosen. Any remaining supplicants must be turned away. The selection of your privy councillors is complete. The other 4 seats beside your own in the Star Chamber are filled, and it is time for you to take your place at the head of the table. The servants and courtiers disperse as you stride quickly towards the Star Chamber. The rheumy old eyes of Parsifal, the High Grand Master of the Temple of Quan, follow you reproachfully. Because we did not choose him, or would that have been... Interesting. I wonder how many different sections we get sent to if we've chosen all 4 already. Well then, to business, I suppose. Is Force Lady Gwyneth, High Priestess of the Temple of Dharma, a member of the Privy Council? Yes, she is. And I think I know what she's going to say. Before you can join your Privy Councillors in the chamber, a royal messenger arrives with news that there is tension in the streets due to there being no law-keeping force or watch at the present. You stride into the Star Chamber, intent on solving this problem first. The Star Chamber is a large oval hall, the ceiling of which is a black marble covered with 5 pointed stars of gold in gold leaf. Wait. This was if she is? Hang on. If she is not 213, if she is 203. Oh, yeah, definitely worse. Right, okay. That was correct. Definitely worse if she was not on the council. Okay, let's see. You stride into the Star Chamber, intent on solving this problem first. The Star Chamber is a large oval hall, the ceiling of which is black marble covered with 5 pointed stars in gold leaf. A large marble table separates a small throne on one side from 4 tall, straight-backed chairs in which your chosen Privy Councillors sit. Standing near your throne is a clerk with emerald green robes, the master of the chamber. You beckon him and, in an undertone, tell him of the unrest in the streets. He asks you if you wish to make this the first item on the agenda, and you agree. He convenes your first session of the Star Chamber and tells your councillors that the first issue is that of immediate civil unrest. He then invites the 4 councillors to give advice. If any of the following are present, Parsifal, Golspiel, Force Lady Gwyneth, and the Lord High Steward, or the Demagogue, they place their closed fists on the table, indicating they wish to speak. Anyone present who does not do so either has no advice to give, or does not wish to give any. You may authorize any or all of the chosen councillors to speak in the following order. Well, firstly, we're noting this section and 15. Parsifal is not present. Golspiel is not present. Force Lady Gwyneth absolutely is, and deserves our attention. Force Lady Gwyneth stands and bows, then runs a hand through her short, spiky steel-grey hair before saying, "In the time of your father, the Loremaster, I served in the watch that was kept by the Shield Maidens of Dharma. It was a happy time for all. Crime was driven from the streets. Restore the custom of your father, Avenger. There is no one in the city who can secure order for you save I and my Shield Maidens." She sits down and looks at the table, visibly tense, because she knows we might not take her advice. The Lord High Steward is not present. The Demagogue is. Oh goodness, what's he going to say? I mean, if he's going to advocate mob rule, that'd be interesting. The Demagogue is quite agitated. His voice changes pitch disconcertingly. "The people are only reacting high-spiritedly to the good news of your coronation, your majesty. Is it not time for the common people to be allowed to be law-keepers themselves? For watch are no more than a symbol of oppression. We must encourage men and women in the streets to report wrongdoings to the palace instead." Meanwhile, nothing gets done about it. And then who still administers the peace? We have listened to both present who had words to say. Greystaff and Lady Foxglove remain silent. So be it. Whose advice will you act on? Will you follow the ideas of Parsifal or Gwyneth? Golspiel, the Lord High Steward, or the Demagogue? Right. Golspiel and the Lord High Steward are not present. We're not going to listen to what the demagogue said, because while it's idealistic, it's also madness. We will attempt to restore the old City Watch. Force Lady Gwyneth heads the watch to good effect. The sight of the shield maidens patrolling on horseback, 2 by 2, restores calm to the city. The impartiality shown when she and her troops bring wrongdoers to justice wins you instant popularity, so add 1 to your popularity rating, which makes up for having Lady Foxglove on the council in the first place. Over the 10-day, you will see that Gwyneth is able to carry out a difficult job well, and Irsmuncast becomes one of the safer cities in the Man March. The Force Lady undertakes to bear the large costs involved in paying the Shield Maiden's wages from her temple's funds, if you will exempt the Pyramid's temple from temple tax. You agree gladly, since the treasury's coffers are empty. Note that you cannot follow the advice of anyone suggesting a tax on the Temple of Dharma. Right. I will put this up here. Exempt. Section 25. Right. And the watch are kept by not the Order of the Yellow Lotus. Who would give that advice? The people, the temple? No, there we go. We have kept our word. Although there are other matters to attend to, so let us continue. Come on, about 20 more sections. The business of the Star Chamber is done for today. You dine in peace, alert for any sound of mayhem near the palace, but the disturbances are happening out of earshot. For tomorrow's session, the real tasks of policy-making will begin. What a short day. When you awake, the stillness of the palace reminds you of how alone you are, how far away from your people in the bustling streets outside. The servants treat you with every respect as you don the cloth of gold robe that was worn by the Overlord of Irsmuncast when he attends the Council of Star Chamber. The Master of the Chamber in his emerald robe stands by as you break fast and suggests a series of questions of outstanding importance be placed on the agenda for today's session. If you have ordered Golspiel the Merchant stand trial today, or if you... Yes, we do. So that should obviously be attended to. While the Master of the Chamber is attending you, one of the palace servants enters the banqueting hall while you are breaking fast, and says that a messenger from Golspiel waits outside with a message for your ears only. Sounds like a trap. Will you tell the servant to have the messenger escorted from the palace, saying that Golspiel will stand trial for treason at noon? Ask the Master of the Chamber to wait outside and have the messenger admitted, or keep the servant and master by your side while the messenger shouts his message from the far end of the banqueting hall. I think it's going to be one of his... What notes do we have here from last time? Yeah. That is so dodgy. If we allow the messenger in, we can probably handle ourselves. insisting that he can't wriggle out of it, he's going to stand trial, is showing rigidity. And it's also implying it may be a show trial with a fixed result. We will allow the messenger this private audience, but be on our guard. You are left alone in the banqueting hall, and the rattle of armour alerts you as the messenger enters. He is very tall, about 6.5 feet, and seems almost as broad. His dark, craggy face is disfigured by a purple scar running from his receding hairline to his ear, and he sports a gold eye patch. He wears scratched and supple courbelieu armour, the mark of his trade, and for some reason the servants have allowed him to bring his bastard sword into your presence, but he spreads his hands, palm down, in a gesture of peace, and kneels before you. My master, Gulspiel, has asked me to say that he wishes to make a donation of 10 talents to the treasury, your majesty. When he is at liberty, he will deliver the gold to you within the day. A talent is the weight of a man in pure gold. Gulspiel's messenger, Antocitus the One-Eyed, is offering you an absolute fortune. Gulspiel must be one of the richest men alive. If you accept, the treasury will be able to support your rule. Will you tell Antocitus that Gulspiel will be set free forthwith, or say that no one in the city is above the law? I'm sorry, you can't bribe your way out of this one. No one in the city is above the law. But he shall be treated fairly and justly. Antocitus reacts almost as though you had slapped him. Without Gulspiel, he will probably lose his position as leader of the mercenaries. He plainly cannot believe that you can walk away from such wealth. When he recollects himself, a dark scowl crosses his face, and he turns on his heel and walks out. You have made another enemy. When the trial is concluded later in the day, you are astonished to hear that the jury have acquitted Gulspiel of the crime of high treason and set him free. They were probably bribed instead. If you act against him after this acquittal, you run the risk of undermining your popularity, so you decide instead to bide your time and sweep scowling into the Star Chamber. Yeah. Making a note of that, just as a reminder, we will not act against him. Unless he gives us just cause. There is a pregnant silence in the council chamber as, obviously displeased, you enthrone yourself. You will have to be careful of assassination attempts, while men as wealthy and powerful as Gulspiel and as dangerous as Antocitus the One-Eyed are at large. The master of the chamber announces that the first business before the Star Chamber is the proclamation by the Overlord of his choice of a personal bodyguard. The monks of Quan have, until now, been fulfilling this task merely because they were on hand when you needed guarding. Alone as you are, the people of the city that contains many who are hostile to you... Alone as you are amongst the people of a city that contains many who are hostile to you, the choice of your personal bodyguard will be most important. Will you choose to retain the services of your fellow monks, though their prowess at martial arts falls far short of those on the island of Tranquil Dreams? Or will you make Force Lady Gwyneth captain of a personal bodyguard of shield maidens, if you have not killed her earlier? Or, if Onikaba and his samurai came to your aid in Book 3, will you choose your bodyguard from those staunchly loyal elite troops? We have no samurai bodyguards. If we assign... Now, here's the interesting thing, right? It would appear there's nothing excluding Force Lady Gwyneth and the Shield Maidens of Dharma from holding more than one position. The City Watch will not... There's like 10,000 of them or something, so... That being said, the Monks of Quan will be the most loyal of these groups. The Shield Maidens of Dharma would be loyal, but I feel Force Lady Gwyneth will be required elsewhere. I'm also pretty sure I went with the monks last time. Yeah, obviously. I strongly suspect they were not the bodyguards of the previous Overlord, and hopefully this will not be an unpopular decision. Your announcement that the Monks of Quan will be your personal bodyguards causes no surprise. Henceforth there will be 2 monks close to your person at all times, and these will be reinforced with more whenever you leave the palace, and hopefully they will train and improve their skills to be worthy of my protection. The next item on the agenda is the fate of the army. In the fighting, most of the forces, particularly the orcs, remained loyal to the Usurper, only changing sides when all seemed lost. Perhaps 200 were slaughtered, including General Barkant, but they still numbered nigh on 4,000 sword arms, about 1,000 orcs, the same again of the noseless crossbreed half-orcs, plus 2,000 humans, almost all men. The great bulk of them are loyal to Nemesis, but loyal also to their city. The problem facing you is one of dilemma. On the one hand, they help to protect the city against raids from the bowels of Orb, so without them the city's military defense strength would be weakened. On the other, certain of their captains long to revenge the humiliation of their defeat when the Usurper was overthrown, so if you allow them to remain in your new army, they will be a constant threat to you. If any of the following are present, the Demagogue, Force Lady Gwyneth, the Lord High Steward, Greystaff, or Solstice, they place their clenched fists on the table, indicating that they wish to speak. Anyone present who does not wish to do so either has no... Lady Foxglove doesn't have much of an opinion, does she? She's holding back for something. Has no advice or does not wish to give any. In order, then. So. The Demagogue speaks first. Oh God, the people. Again, really? The Demagogue rises to his feet and spreads his arms theatrically. What need have we of a professional army? We are the followers of Moraine, god of empire, wishing to subdue all the lands of men under our dominion. Are we the followers of Moraine, god of empire, wishing to subdue all the lands of men under our dominion? Our walls are tall and strong. There are 20,000 able-bodied men and women in the city, needing no more than elementary instruction in the arts of war to become a fine fighting force, buoyed up with revolutionary ardour. Why not form a citizens' volunteer militia and do away with the exorbitant cost of the army at a stroke? The people can defend their city from the spawn of the rift. Right. Here's the thing. The militia will be under-equipped and under-trained should we need their assistance in the short term. Oh, he's planning to be their general, I see. Led by the Demagogue. Citizen militia led by the Demagogue, I see. Force Lady Gwyneth obviously has other thoughts in mind. Force Lady Gwyneth stands stiffly erect, hand on sword hilt, and says, "The followers of Dharma are professional soldiers, but their allegiance is not to money, as is the case with Antocidas the One-Eyed and his mercenaries. Nor are they liable to trip over themselves in battle as are the Usurper's troops, trained by the clerics of Nemesis, instead by true soldiers. You have no further need of any army beyond my 2,000 trained swords. She sits down, looking around as if daring anyone to gainsay her. It would be a small army, susceptible to possibly being overwhelmed by larger forces, but need not necessarily operate alone in the future. So, in Book 6, we have to defend... No, Book 5, sorry. In Book 5, we have to fight an enemy army. And we gather a number of forces to our side. Force Lady Gwyneth and the Shield Maidens of Dharma would not stand alone. And yes, that's a reference. Not alone. I believe Boromir says it. In the books, not in the films. The Lord High Steward is not present. Greystaff is. Solstice is not. I imagine, as priest of the Temple of Time, Solstice could give us some very good advice, but sadly we chose to keep Lady Foxglove close, where we can see what she's up to. And she might actually be a little bit loyal at some point. Greystaff has not yet uttered a word in the Star Chamber. He seems ill at ease, as if being in the chamber itself somehow tarnishes his halo. But getting to his feet, he says, "Now is the time, your majesty, to banish the filth that contaminates the airs of the city, to rid our streets once and for all of these infiltrators from the rift, the orcs and their crossbreed brethren, the half-orcs. Disband the army and call on the Shield Maidens of Dharma. They are fierce and doughty of heart. It is the evil ones who make possible the rule of the evil in this city. Without them, the power of the Temple of Nemesis would be greatly lessened. We must act now, sire, for the sake of your people." He mops his brow and sits down, suddenly bowing his head. As if that has taken a lot out of him. Feels like he's quite young. We have heard everyone. And it does seem we're taking the majority view here. We will not follow the demagogue. Force Lady Gwyneth. Okay, now, this is interesting, right? If we take the advice of Force Lady Gwyneth, she becomes, her forces become a standing army. Greystaff, we would also be trying to kick out all the orcs and half-orcs from the city. There are a lot of them, and this could cause civil uprising. I'm not sure we can do that. And I doubt we have any evidence here. Yeah, nothing. Okay. Force Lady Gwyneth is more neutral. And Greystaff more idealistic. I will follow her advice and not attempt to cast out a great number of the city's population who are armed and trained in the matters of war and would turn against me. I'm not imagining they will come to love me, and indeed having them in the city may be a problem later on. Your move to replace the army of the Shield Maidens is popular with all but the Usurper's army and others who follow Nemesis. Add 1 to your popularity rating. Hooray! We are up to 3! Disbanding the standing army, however, causes problems. There are now 4,000 jobless men and orcs roaming the streets and unable to feed their families. Idle hands turn to no good, and there is friction and violence in the streets. If the followers of Dharma are keepers of the watch, they manage to keep the situation under control. We're not relying on Golspiel's mercenaries. Oh dear God, if we disbanded the army and had Golspiel's mercenaries who served, in the army as head of running the watch, of Foxglove's spies. So let's just tidy this up a bit then. The Shield Maidens of Dharma are able to maintain law and order, but even so, after the debate concerning the army, the Privy Council does not resume session for a 10-day, giving you time to assess however the changes you have ordered are affecting the city. If your popularity rating is 0 or less, mercifully I can claim that it is not. I wonder if we could have got a 5. We could have got a 4. Anyway, 325. I suspect some of you will have opinions on my decision to keep Lady Foxglove on the council as well. It may be folly. We shall see. You have just returned from prayer in the temple to Quan, having sought the guidance of the Redeemer and found only empty silence, when Foxglove arrives at the palace and craves audience. If you call your bodyguard close and give the order to bring her to you in your study, you may do so, or you may tell her never to call on you at the palace uninvited. She's a member of the Privy Council, so that would be a really bad idea. To your surprise, Foxglove is today wearing white, a short jacket and breeches, but with black boots. Her hair is piled up on her head, and the face paint she wears, though alluring, is no more than might be worn by a young acolyte serving in the chapel to the All-Mother. She bows low and asks you to sit. She begins, "I have learned from my secret informers things which may be of interest to you, Your Majesty." You nod, and she goes on. "We have found out that the price of half a king's ransom lies on your head, that one Mandrake, Guildmaster of Assassins in the far-off city of Wargrave Abbas, attempted to assassinate you. She mispronounces the city's name, but what she says is true enough." You nod again. "He has left Wargrave. The Guildmaster, who conducts the services in honour of Toramalku the Slayer, is an impostor. Mandrake is searching for you, Overlord." "Is there anything more?" you ask. "Yes. We have identified certain agitators stirring up feeling against you. They won't be giving any more trouble." "I hope they have been dealt with fairly," you ask. "Of course," says Foxglove, but her smile suggests otherwise. The evidence she brings, however, shows that she has got the right men. She takes her leave, and you ponder the news about Mandrake and the worth of the Order of the Yellow Lotus. Well, we know Mandrake was hired to kill us. We didn't know that he had left the city and was still searching for us. We are ruler of a city. It won't be hard for him to find out where we are. Word will spread. The third session of the Council of the Star Chamber takes place on a dreary and grey afternoon, but I also suspect it should take place in the next episode, as this one has run on for quite long enough. I'm going to end this episode here. I hope you've all enjoyed this one, and I do look forward to seeing you all in the very next episode. I'll say goodbye for now, though, and cheerio, everyone. See you all soon. It's good to be back.